Hello. Um, as Adam mentioned, the name of this project is Visibility, which I think is an appropriate name because hopefully it will help organisations like the BL and the BL itself and businesses and individuals understand and gain a bit more clarity on how their data is being used. So just a little bit about me. My name is Peter Balman. I'm a cross-discipline designer, technologist. And the reason I'm here today is because I was awarded some funding by IC Tomorrow, which is a division of the Technology Strategy Board, and the British Library was the challenge partner. Yeah, I've been, as I said, I'm very happy to have received this funding, and the development of this tool is in full swing. So the challenge itself was to encourage and establish the necessary feedback to measure the use and impact of public domain content available through existing online platforms. So what is domain data? Domain data is defined as the state of belonging to or being available to the public as a whole, especially through not being subject to copyright or other legal restrictions. So what we're really talking about here today, or I am anyway, is the British Library's Flickr archive of 1 million images, which is available to the public to reproduce, remix, do whatever they want with. So that's the challenge's focus, if you like. So let's consider, first of all, what is value? So my interpretation of value in this particular context is twofold. So from the British Library's perspective, they would like to understand the value of doing work such as this and the return on investment from doing this work and undertaking such a large task. From the user's perspective, we want to understand what value they place on being able to reuse and reproduce this public domain data, how they will. So, how do we judge value? Well, there's a few key indicators that we can look at. Simple metrics like the number of times a image from the Flickr archive is used, for example. We can also look at the demographic of the people using the images and try and work out what segment of the public is interested in using this information. But then we can also look at some other more abstract metrics, if you like, and ask questions like, what do people talk about when they talk about using this public domain data? So this gives us an opportunity to use some techniques like natural language processing and sentiment analysis, which we've heard a little bit about today. But it's worth mentioning, obviously, that social media does this type of thing very easily in this day and age because the terminology is appropriate to it. You've got things like liking, you have favourites, you share, you retweet. But it's a bit more abstract when it comes to looking at the popularity of images. So, what do we know? Anecdotally, the British Library have told me that through serendipity, they've encountered some interesting and creative uses of this Flickr public domain data. And certainly, if you look at Google or if you look at Twitter, you can see that there is a bit of a buzz. But what are the known unknowns? Well, we know there's 1 million images out there potentially being shared. Maybe a fraction of them, maybe half of them, we don't know. And what are the unknown unknowns? Well, that's ridiculous. Anyway. So, just to help us with the concept of where we start with this kind of undertaking of understanding where the images are, let's consider for a moment the humble image, the kind of cornerstone of human visual communication, and also one of the workhorses of the internet. And the image, it can take quite a journey, and maybe we should try and understand this journey a little bit. So consider this image here, which was from a book that was published in Budapest in 1885. At some point, it found its way here to the British Library, where it was digitised, and in 2013, the BL Labs team, with the help of Flickr, uploaded the images to Flickr, where they resided, and at some point, this image was used by an author called Laura Cohen as the front cover of her book. And we've also heard some other interesting uses of imagery, like David Normal, who took some images from the Flickr archive and took them to Burning Man and burnt them. But then, of course, the journey of those particular images is ongoing, because lots of people, thousands of people, then took pictures of the burning images, maybe before they were burnt as well, and retweeted them. And so, yeah, the image journey doesn't stop there. So to think of the image's journey less like a timeline, but more like a tree with many branches. So what is it all about? What am I aiming to do, or what are we aiming to do? Well, it's really a bit of sleuthing, it's a bit of storytelling, and a lot of collaboration to attempt to identify the journey of these images. So starting from this position of not knowing, what do we do? How do we actually go about looking at this large data set? Well, one particular option that we could consider is to take smaller subsets of the data and test our assumptions around how we think they're being used, things that are popular. Or alternatively, we could take all 1 million images and try to crunch the numbers and see what happens, which is what I'm going to attempt to do. And I think, hopefully, it will yield some interesting results, having this large data set. So, yeah, we'll see. So let's jump to it. This is what I'm making. Here's the interface. You can add a search by inputting a URL of an image that you're interested in, or maybe you know that there's a collection of images somewhere and you can point to that set. In this instance, however, the British Library probably won't be using this add search interface, because there's such a large quantity of data that will be pre-processing it. And other institutions who have large sets, this is probably what will happen. But anyway, so you process the data and you get some results back, but you can also flick over to a visual representation of the data, which is probably easier for recognizing trends. And you can take this kind of macro to micro view by drilling down into the data and going to the specific results to try and find some interesting use cases for this stuff. So how is this done? Oh, and sorry, one more thing. Maybe you found some interesting use cases that you would like to share with the world. So there is the facility to then go on and brag a little bit about some of the success stories that you found through the interface here. And so the image journey continues. So how is it done? Okay, so the magic is we take your image, or the set of image, the large data set, and we search the web for uses of this image. Then we use techniques like natural language processing to process the body of the web page where it was found, to work out the concepts that are being discussed around your image, the taxonomy, the keywords, maybe some other information like the author, and maybe some social information as well, which we can then go on to identify whether these images were retweeted by that person maybe. And then it's rendered into the web interface that you saw there, and it also works on mobile and other bits and pieces as well. So that's great. Oh, no, that's too early. So what do you do with the data? So it's wonderful. You've got all this data. What do you do? Well, I'm focusing on categorizing and organizing the information into location, time, category, and hierarchy to help you better interpret what's going on there. That's Richard Saul-Verman's latch theory, a term that he coined. Richard Saul-Verman is a designer. So this can help you to understand the demographic, their location, the time that the image was indexed, and also the categories of the stuff that people are saying around your image fall into. And as I mentioned, it's a great way to gather success stories related to the use of these images. And armed with this data, hopefully, you can provide justification for doing more of the same, and maybe giving some validation to work that you've done before in the past. And the overall aim, from my perspective, is to raise awareness of the good work that the BL and other institutions are doing around the use of public domain data and other projects that they're working on that produce outputs such as this. So The truth is, because we haven't crunched the data yet, we don't know what the outcome is. But even if we find that a fraction of the archive has captured the imagination of users, then we can focus on working out what it was that excited them and try to maybe do more of that. So when can you use it? Well, it's in full production at the moment. We've got past the proof of concept phase, and the designs are complete, as you've seen. And I'm looking for other institutions who would maybe like to try it, so that we can help this thing evolve into something that can help you all understand the value of the good work that you do. So that's it. Thank you.